X+1 by SeMauri Whitley.
My name is Ethan, and I think I'm the last one left. I'm writing this, recording this. I don't know. I just need someone to know what happened. I'm in this boarded up gas station bathroom, and I can hear it outside, pleading. It was me, Chloe, Ben, Sarah, Liam, and Maya. 6 of us. We piled into my dad's old minivan and drove 12 hours to the secluded cabin by a lake we rented online. The first night was perfect. Bonfire, bad music, cheap beer, the usual. We were just 6 kids trying to forget about college applications for a week. It was the next morning, when we were making breakfast, that the weirdness started. Sarah was counting plates. "Hey guys," she said, her brow furrowed. "This is weird. I have 7 plates out." We all kind of laughed it off. Maybe it was a mistake. But then Liam was handing out towels for the lake. 7 towels. It was this nagging, prickling feeling at the back of our necks. We were a group of 6. We had always been a group of 6, but the world was counting 7. We started looking at each other differently. We'd do head counts over and over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Always 6. But then who was the 7th? Who was the person we all vaguely remembered being there, but I couldn't put a face or a name to? We'd ask, "Hey, who was sitting next to Chloe at the fire last night?" And we'd all have this hazy, conflicting memory of someone. The paranoia set in fast. We started whispering, pointing fingers. Ben swore he saw someone watching us from the woods. Maya thought she heard a voice humming in the attic. We were turning on each other, because the fear of the unknown 7th person was less terrifying than the idea that one of us wasn't one of us. Then Ben went missing. We thought he'd just stormed off after an argument. We spent hours calling his name in the woods. Nothing. The next morning, it was Chloe. Her bed was made, but she was gone. Panic turned to sheer terror. We were going to leave, just pack up and get the hell out. We ran to the minivan, and the tires were slashed, all 4 of them, by some sort of claws. That's when all hell broke loose. Sarah found Ben, or parts of him. He was about 1.5 miles away from the cabin. Sarah's voice was raw from the frantic cry. She said Ben was missing his skin and most of his internal organs. We couldn't say a word for ours. Then we found Chloe near the lake. It looked like a pack of wild dogs got to her by the way she was ravaged. We called the rangers and they said they were going to head our way, but just our luck, a thunderstorm came forcing us back in the cabin. We knew then it wasn't a person. It was a thing, and it had been with us the whole time. The 7th person, the one who didn't exist. It had been learning us, mimicking us. It wore our friends' faces, used their voices. We just couldn't see it. We couldn't remember who was real and who was the copy. We heard beating at the door. All of the blood drained from our bodies, until we heard a familiar voice follow. It was Ranger Thomas. We hurried him in and told him everything that led up to the current moment when he looked around and asked, "Where's your other buddy?" The tall one. My brows raised as we all looked at each other, puzzled. "Other buddy?" I asked. "Yeah," he said. "When I was making my way up here, I heard something just off the path, like panting of some sort when I saw him. Just standing there and facing the opposite direction." I called out to him, and he turned around and something was off about him. Like he was just a little too tall, limbs disproportionate. But against my better judgment, I asked him what he was doing out here. And he said he got lost, looking for help, but his voice sounded like a cat or dog imitating a human. I told him to tag along, but I lost him in the storm. Figured he found a quicker route. Anyway, I'm gonna go signal in the rest of the crew and head back to you. Liam, Sarah, and Maya. They disappeared one by one over the next day. The police found them, too. Scattered. Each one a hollowed-out shell. I ran. I just ran and ran until I found this place. I smashed the window to get in and barricaded the door with an old tire rack. It's been quiet for a while now, but just a few minutes ago, I heard a voice outside. It was Sarah's. She was crying, begging me to open the door. Said she got away. But I saw Sarah on my way up here, impaled on a tree branch. Then the voice changed. It became Chloe's, laughing like she did that first night. Then Ben's, asking if I had an extra beer. It's cycling through them. My friends, it's trying to find the right key to unlock this door. The scraping has started again. It's right at the door. I think it's trying to mimic my voice now. I can hear it, a faint, gurgling whisper, trying to say my name, trying to become me. If you find this, don't go looking for me. Just burn this whole damn place to the ground.
What Haunts the Fields by SeMauri Whitley.
Don't you boys ever go out in those fields after dark? Grandma's voice was thin and reedy, like dry corn husks rubbing together. My little brother, Leo, and I would just nod, our mouths full of her apple pie. We were 10 and 6, and Grandma's warnings were just part of the summer landscape. Like the buzzing of cicadas or the smell of freshly cut hay. But one evening, she sat us down, her eyes wide and serious. I'm not just saying it to scare you, she said, her knitting needles clicking to a stop. It's real. That thing out there? It took my brother. Your grit uncle Charlie. She told us how Charlie, a boy no older than I was then, had dared his friends to sneak into the cornfield one moonless night. They were playing hide-and-seek, but Charlie never came back. The others said they heard a sound like rustling straw and cracking wood, followed by a single, choked-off scream. They found his cap lying at the foot of the scarecrow the next morning. That's all. We knew the scarecrow she meant. It stood on a crooked pole in the heart of the endless cornfield behind our house. The corn grew so tall and dense it was like a living maze. And that thing was its horrible centerpiece. We'd named him Harry the Hateful. He wasn't your typical friendly-looking scarecrow. He was emaciated, skeletal almost, made of gnarled branches that looked like long, bony limbs. His clothes were tattered rags that flapped in the wind like peeling skin, and his head was a lumpy burlap sack with 2 mismatched buttons for eyes. One was a dark, flat black, the other a cloudy, milky white. It always felt like that milky eye was watching you. That summer, Leo became obsessed with Harry. He'd dare me to get closer, to touch the pole. I always refused. But one hot, sticky evening, just as the sun was bleeding red and orange across the horizon, Leo's favorite red ball bounced off the porch and rolled right into the first few rows of corn. "I'll get it," he yelled, already hopping down the steps. "Leo, no," I shouted, a cold knot forming in my stomach. Grandma said not to. "It's getting dark." He just laughed. "I'll be right back, scaredy-cat. It's not even dark yet." He disappeared into the rustling stalks, the green leaves swallowing him whole. I waited. 1 minute, 5. The sky turned from orange to a deep, bruised purple. The first stars began to prick the darkness. "Leo," I called out, my voice trembling. "Come on, it's not funny anymore. Only the whisper of the wind through the corn answered. I ran to the edge of the field, my heart hammering against my ribs. I screamed his name until my throat was raw. That's when I heard it. Not a scream, not a cry. It was a rustle. A dry, dragging sound, followed by the distinct snap of a wooden branch breaking. And then silence. A heavy, absolute silence that felt heavier than any sound. I never saw Leo again. The police searched for weeks. They combed every inch of that cornfield. They found nothing. No ball. No Leo. My parents. They shattered. And they put the pieces back together by blaming me. Why did you let him go in there? My mother would sob. You were the older brother. You were supposed to protect him. My father's silence was worse. He'd just look at me with hollow, accusing eyes. The love in our home dried up like a shallow well. I grew up in the shadow of my missing brother, a constant, walking reminder of their grief. As soon as I turned 18, I left. I couldn't stand the sight of that cornfield, or the empty space at the dinner table, or the way my own parents looked at me. It's been 30 years. Grandma's gone. My parents are gone. But the farm is still there. And sometimes, on moonless nights, I swear I can still hear the wind rustling through those tall, maze-like stalks, and I see him, clear as day in my mind's eye. Harry, the hateful, with his one black button eye and one milky white one, standing vigil over his field. I know what he is. He's a gatekeeper, a toll collector. And that night, he took my little brother as payment. And in a way, he took me, too.